Hey there, welcome back. In this video, we're going to learn about how to use EQ during the mastering process. Let me get right into my song. I'll just drag some of the controls around here. Okay, I've got Ozone open. I'm in the paragraphic equalizer. I don't have any particular band selected. The bright red line shows the effect of all the bands combined. I haven't made any adjustments yet, so the line's basically flat. When I select a band, the line turns dark. The selection point appears in crosshairs with this neon green line. The darker line shows the effect of the band that's selected. These brackets indicate the bandwidth. If I hold down the Alt key and click on the spectrum, we only hear the frequencies under the mouse cursor without changing any settings. This is a great way to find the location of a frequency in your mix. Let's check it out. Here's the bass frequencies. We have a good amount of boom here. The vocals start to ring out their fundamentals. Most mastering EQ plugins will offer you some kind of spectral analysis. It's pretty useful in learning to understand which frequencies lie where, so take some time to experiment. Let's start with the mid-range. The instruments that I've got in this range are the vocals, guitar, and accordion. My guitar is a bit muddy. Its lows seem obscured by the strings and the pizzicato, and the top doesn't ring out. As well, the accordion sounds a little harsh to me. I'm going to boost a little, about 150 Hz, to bring in some fullness. Now let's try a cut very nearby, about 250 Hz, to reduce a bit of the muddiness. I'll just narrow the band a little as well. Now let's sweep for that accordion harshness. At a first listen, I don't think I can make a cut here without reducing the quality of the vocal substantially. I'd be better off trying to widen the panning between the vocal and the accordion to see if that helps. Of course, let's have a listen to see what our work has brought us so far. The voice is definitely fuller. The bottom does sound less boomy, but I don't think I made any impact on bringing out the guitar. However, I don't want to boost too much of any frequency. I may go back to the mix and boost the guitar a little bit and possibly boost some of its highs there. I don't want to risk losing any of the vocal sparkle, nor do I want to add any unwanted higher frequencies. If you find yourself using too narrow a cue or too much gain while mastering, you're better off going back to the mixing session and isolating the problem that way. Remember, you get the most natural sound using wide bands with a cue less than 1. The wider the band, the less gain you need to apply. Remember also that your ears get used to EQ changes really quickly. You may find yourself boosting more than necessary to hear any difference. Use the history window to go back and audition settings prior to making changes. Comparing the difference before and after a series of subtle EQ changes can help prevent you from overdoing boosts and cuts. Now let's take a look at our bass frequencies. Generally, small near-field monitors have less bass frequency response. You might be tempted to boost the bass with EQ when you compare it to a commercial CD. Hold off on that though. We'll be adding some punch with the multi-band compressor. If you've got some low-level noise or rumble, this is a good time to apply a shelf or high-pass filter around 40 Hz. Typically, what we consider bass lies in the 50 to 100 kilohertz region. On the whole, you're safe rolling off the frequencies under about 40 hertz. But keep in mind that for any EQ change you make, the other frequencies will sound different too. Boosting one frequency can hide another, and vice versa. Cutting one frequency can sound like a boost to another, in fact. So make sure you're listening to see how your tweaking affects the whole. After this, we're going to EQ the high end. Now, it is normal for your mix to sound a little dull next to a commercial CD. First, let's have a listen to see if our filter has helped us handle some of the rumble. Les croquantes et les croquants, tous les gens bien intentionnés m'avaient fermé la porte au nez. And let's stop our playback. A definite improvement. Okay, let's go take a look at the highs. We could add some wideband boost around 12 to 15 kilohertz, or skip EQ and add the sparkle with the multi-band exciter, which is what I'm going to do. Remember the more is less rule? We don't want to mess around with the EQ too much. We also don't want to boost around 6 to 8 kilohertz. There's already some sibilance in my vocal, that's the s and the sh, and I don't want to bring that out anymore. Lots of commercial recordings use a gradual high roll-off shelf. We can look at an ozone snapshot to see what that looks like. Many mastering plugins will offer you this feature. So the high roll-off is represented by this sloped line. When I play my song, you see that the spectrum shows I've already rolled off the highs in this way. Okay, let's have a listen. Let's stop our playback. By the way, it is common to emulate the EQ spectrum of a song you like. This plugin and many other mastering plugins let you import a song and take a snapshot of it. Then you can view its plotline, just like I've got here. Let's talk a little about the spectrum analyzer that we've just looked at. The spectrum analyzer is those squiggly lines that move during playback. The X or horizontal axis plots the frequency range from low at 20 Hz to high at 20,000 Hz. The Y-axis or vertical axis shows us the volume level in decibels, with this line representing 0. Any peaks on the spectrum show your dominant frequencies. In my song, we've got a pretty even distribution of peaks in the fundamentals with a tapering off up high. Remember some of our general EQ tips for mixing, many of which apply here. First of all, try cutting bands instead of boosting. And when you boost, experiment with the harmonics rather than the fundamentals. Use as few bands as possible, with wide bandwidths, unless you're troubleshooting some problem noise. And use your eyes and ears to compare to other mixes. Specifically for mastering, however, you can use multiband compression instead of boosting bass frequencies if you're trying to add punch to your bass. For bringing presence and sparkle, try using harmonic excitation rather than boosting the high frequencies. If you need to boost or cut more than 5 decibels, you may have a problem that you should take up in the mixing part of the tracks, not during the mastering of the stereo mixdown. This is to prevent you from introducing any other unwanted frequencies. And this concludes our video about mastering EQ. In our next video, we'll be taking a look at how to use reverb during the mastering process.